This is True News, the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God. Former President Donald Trump teased the world this week that he would make a big announcement on Thursday. Today is Thursday. He made the announcement. It was not big. There was speculation earlier this week as to what Mr. Trump would announce on Thursday. Would he announce his 2024 running mate? Would he announce the merger of Truth Social and Twitter? Would he announce that he planned to leave the GOP and start the Trump Party? What would Mr. Trump announce? Would he announce his candidacy for the House speakership? A lot of people were asking questions. Well, the answer is no to all the above. Mr. Trump announced today that he is selling NFT trading cards featuring himself, who else, as a superhero. The response of his opponents should not be what troubles Mr. Trump. On the contrary, it was the response of many of his supporters today that should worry the Trump campaign. His supporters turned on him. The negative response from the MAGA crowd was not pretty. We will start by looking at the video Mr. Trump released yesterday on Truth Social. And this is the tease that he gave everybody about something big coming today.
America needs a superhero.
Well, Doc, when that came out yesterday, I don't know anybody who thought that, the digital animated video that he released was the actual thing that he was going to release.
Right.
Most people thought, okay, that's just typical Donald Trump teasing. He's going to make a major announcement tomorrow. Everybody's going to be paying attention. And then he announced that he's selling NFTs featuring himself as basically Superman, a superhero.
Right. And I mean, we talked about this a little yesterday about what could the announcement possibly be. And you mentioned a couple of those things in the, in the open. I was absolutely convinced that he was going to announce that he was leaving the GOP. That was me, because I thought, he's going to make an announcement that has to be bigger than him announcing himself running for president.
And there were people who thought he was going to announce that he was withdrawing from the race.
Right. And then there was the one about the merger of Truth Social and Twitter, which I thought was way out there, but everything was on the table, really.
Right. And the House speakership.
Right. And that too. But nowhere on my Trump bingo card today did I have trading cards. That was not even on the board.
And so what was your reaction when you saw that the announcement was trading cards?
Well, I'm not a super fan of Donald Trump, but I don't hate him either. But I have to say I was totally disappointed. I felt like I had been cheated in a way. So we'll show you the big announcement here. This is what was released today, collecttrumpcards.com. And you can purchase these digital trading cards for $99 each. And they're tagged with NFTs. We can talk a little bit about that here today. But this is not the announcement that I was, thinking about, or like I said, it wasn't on my bingo card at all today.
To me, the Trump family found another way to get $100 out of the Trump supporters.
And not just $100 one time, but multiple ones, because you can purchase additional trading cards. These are just a few of the samples here. So in addition to the superhero one, you can have them in a cowboy outfit, an astronaut outfit, and you can get these trading cards either by purchasing them or by, for instance, if you happen to be at the Miami dinner with Donald Trump, you can actually, at the dinner, maybe be granted one of these digital trading cards, or if you get to play golf with Donald Trump, or if you received, if you're on an individual Zoom call with Donald Trump. Each of these things can generate an NFT that can be traded to others and used as collectibles. And so,
Doc, when I saw it, my immediate reaction was it wasn't disappointment or anger. It was, are you serious?
Well, yeah,
Are you
that too.
serious?
I mean,
You're the former president of the United States, and you made this big announcement, and you got people over the world waiting for Thursday to see what you were going to announce, and you're going to hustle $99 NFTs, digital nothings.
right.
All right, and this is it. And not only that, but the NFTs feature you as a superhuman being.
Right.
This is it?
Right.
We're on the verge of nuclear war.
Yes, and even here, within our own country, we're in probably the most intense political volatility we've ever experienced in our lifetimes. And
This is it.
this is it. This is
NFTs.
your trading cards.
You know, in my mind, he made himself irrelevant today.
I agree with you.
I think he made himself irrelevant today. I think many Trump supporters said, that's it, I'm done.
And if you look on social media earlier today, especially in the morning before noon, because it seemed like the Trump organization tried to back this off. In the morning, wow, social media was like, this is it? I mean, he's got to be trolling us. Or there was speculation that the left was trolling everything going on. But no, this was genuine.
Yes, and that was my first reaction. That when I saw the NFT poster, my first reaction was, that's fake. Somebody on the left is trying to preempt Trump's announcement and get people thinking that his announcement was an NFT. And then when I started questioning you and our social media director, Eric, and I'm asking other people, and I go, no, that is it. That's the announcement.
Right.
At that point, my attitude about Donald Trump changed. I just said, you know what? You are irrelevant to what's going on in the world right now. This country needs leadership, and you're not the leader. And I'm not going down that road again. I'm not doing this again with Donald Trump. We're in such serious trouble right now as a country. Our biggest threat right now is the possibility of nuclear war.
Right.
And we have nobody talking about how to get out of this mess. But with everything else that's going on, with the attack on free speech, with the attack on our liberties,
The economy.
The massive spike in prices, what's happening in Europe, with energy, and all you can think about is an NFT to sell for $99 and put more money in the Trump family bank account. This is it.
So, and just to be clear, this money, being generated, is not for campaign.
No.
It's
for him.
Not for him to run for president or anything like that. But he's making money off this deal. He licensed his brand once again. This was his big announcement. Now, they did try to wheel this back, Rick, by posting a video later on.
Damage control?
Yeah, I believe damage control, because all the acolytes out there start saying, this is the big announcement, this is it. But no, the video he released yesterday was directly, you had the Superman outfit and everything. It was directly tied to this trading card announcement today.
And what people
you can't separate it.
What people thought yesterday about that, the video tease was, he's using superhero imagery because the announcement that he's making today is going to be extremely important.
Right.
It turned out it was totally unimportant.
Right.
And he wasted our time.
Right. And now, he did make or at least they released a video today. I don't know when they made it. They may have made it this morning after they realized, oh my gosh, we've really screwed up on this. But he made about a 6-minute video that talks about his new free speech policy proposal. Let's go to number 5 for control. We'll play a portion of that, and then we'll kind of give an overview of it. But I think you'll understand that any messaging that he had in this was totally deflated by what happened earlier in the
Yes.
days. So let's watch this.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple, just like dominoes, one by one. They'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. And reclaim is a very important word in this case because they've taken it away. The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for America and for the survival of Western civilization itself. When I am president, this whole rotten system of censorship and information control will be ripped out of the system at large. There won't be anything left. By restoring free speech, we'll begin to reclaim our democracy and save our nation. Thank you, and God bless America.
And that's the message we need to hear, right?
Yes.
And if we'll put up number 4 real quick here, here's some of the things that he talked about in the other 5 minutes of his video. You know, banning federal agencies from colluding to censor American citizens, and a number of things here that, you know, that are really legitimate things to be talked about.
For all Americans, regardless of your views.
But the fact that we did this NFT trading card thing earlier, whether the video later on was planned or unplanned, any impact it's going to have is totally common because it makes Donald Trump look like a clown.
Because, Doc, that's the reaction I had because, you know, I had more things to do every day than just follow Donald Trump. All right, so, you know, we're all working. We have important things to do. And so I'm going back and forth trying to see what happened. And, you know, so I see the NFT superhero announcement. And then, I don't know, like within the hour, there's this serious announcement. And so I was asking you and I was asking Eric, well, which one is it? What am I supposed to respond to? Was the major announcement the free speech, or was the major announcement the superhero NFTs?
In my opinion,
And for about an hour, I think there was confusion.
Right, but for me, I've just come to the conclusion, the major announcement was the trading card thing, because the tease yesterday had images of the trading cards.
And then it backfired.
Right.
And so they rushed out this video to try to undo the damage that had occurred. I mean, he's really having, he's really making some bad decisions. You know, the Kanye West dinner is just one thing after another, and people are really questioning, do we want to go down that road again with Donald Trump?
Right.
Well, you know, the first thing I want to know, if you become president again, is your daughter and son-in-law going to be in the White House? Because if they are, I'm not voting for you.
Well, they've already said they're not, but...
I know, but I want to hear from him.
Yes, so...
Will Jared Kushner have a national security clearance? Yes or no? And number 2, what I want to know is, do you disown the COVID vaccines?
Yes.
Would you do it again? If you could do it over again, Mr. Trump, would you have Operation Warp Speed and push out those messenger RNA genetic operating systems on the millions of people? Would you do it again?
Would you say that you were bamboozled by those that were around you, that they talked you into saying the vaccines are... He's still saying vaccines are safe. He said it as late as last week.
That's what I mean. I want to hear his... Because if he's still defending those vaccines, I'm not going out there to fight for this guy.
Now imagine if that NFT trading card thing hadn't come out today and the video announcement had just come out. In the current conversation about Twitter and everything, it would have been probably a good thing. It probably would have made him look statesman-like.
Yes.
But the fact that the NFT cards come out, it's like, how can I shoot myself in both of my feet this morning as I get up? To me, like you said earlier, Rick, we can no longer take Mr. Trump seriously at this point. I mean, really can't. I mean, he's obviously going to be a candidate. It's going to impact the election. There are people that are going to be loyal to him. But if this is what we're looking forward to, I certainly don't want any part of it. And
No, and I think it's hurt his campaign. And if Ron DeSantis just continues doing what he's doing, like impaneling a state grand jury to investigate the COVID-19 vaccines,
Right.
if he just continues down that road, he's going to win the Republican nomination and he'll win the White House. Because right now, Ron DeSantis is the leader of the conservative movement in the United States. No doubt in my mind at all. It's Ron DeSantis. There's nobody else who is in the forefront as a responsible conservative leader. And I think a lot of people just want to move on. They're tired. They're just worn out. They're just worn out. You know, it's the toxicity is just too overwhelming. And part of it is Mr. Trump's enemies are so vicious. They're so nasty. And it's not right. It's absolutely not right what they did to him.
Agreed.
And I defended him those 4 years because what they did to him was unfair, unjust, and un-American. But at the same time, I don't want to look forward to 6 more years of that poisonous, toxic environment.
Right. The atmosphere is different. I mean, we were talking about this earlier, and you said it yourself, that the atmosphere today is totally different than it was in 2016. Part of that change is Donald Trump. Part of why that atmosphere is different is Donald Trump. And we have a completely different... Now elections are stolen.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Think about it, because of the introduction of Donald Trump.
Yes.
Good or bad.
Right. They're justifying stealing the elections because they hate him so much.
Right.
Right. Mr. Trump has so many legal problems that, again, it's going to wear out his supporters. I mean, this guy's facing prison time. And whether he gets convicted or not, we don't know. But it's just one issue after another with him. And I don't think most conservatives are prepared to hang in there with him and do this again. And of course, the midterm elections hurt him also. A lot of the candidates that he pushed in the primaries lost. And that's a fact.
That's true.
And Ron DeSantis won.
Yes.
And carried the Republican Party candidates statewide, down to the school board level. School board members were elected because of the DeSantis wave.
Right. And before our audience starts thinking that we're all on the DeSantis wagon, we're going to have to hold his feet to the fire.
You do that with
he was endorsing vaccines early on.
Yes, he was. And
so...
Yes, you have to do that with every politician.
Yes.
The key thing is to maintain your independence. You can have a favorite, but maintain your independence, because if your favorite candidate strays, you have to hold him accountable. And that's my view, my mindset. You know, I will support candidates, I'll defend them, but I am not going to be a blind loyalist and never criticize, never question. Because what you get is you either get the MAGA crowd on the right, or you get the Obaministas on the left, that they don't criticize their leaders for anything.
Right.
They don't hold them accountable to anything, and that's not good. Well, anyhow, that's enough talking about NFTs. I don't have any NFTs. I do have an elf. But I don't have an NFT is not real. It's not, you can't hold it. I can hold my elf, all right? I've got an elf. And we got some good news.
That's right.
This about Mr. Fauci, the elf. Every single Fauci elf order has been fulfilled. They've all been shipped out.
Yes.
So they are in the mail. They're out there. And We got plenty of them in stock, and if you order one today, here's what I can do. I can promise you your order will go out tomorrow. After it gets to the post office, I can't promise you what they do with it at that point, but I can promise you I will get your Fauci elf to the post office tomorrow. That's a guarantee. But all of them, 100% of the orders have been shipped out. So
very exciting day here.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. We got Mr. Fauci going out everywhere. You know, everybody that sees it physically, I mean, actually holds it, sees it. Everybody laughs. Everybody thinks it's funny. You know, the reaction is different. I think seeing it online, seeing it on an ad, and actually holding it and hearing it talk, but when people actually see it, they just crack up, start laughing.
We had one of our delivery drivers today.
Yeah, the delivery driver was like,
and...
he was having a great time unpacking these things today, you know? We ended up giving him one because he was laughing so much at the Fauci elf. Well, we got some serious news to talk about. So, you know, we talked about Mr. Trump, so let's turn our attention to Mr. Biden and Summit News.
Yes,
Paul Joseph Watson, Summit News. He said, Biden suggests opponents of child sex changes are racist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic because they're all connected, Doc.
And I would change that headline. He didn't suggest it. He flat out said it. President Joe Biden suggested on Tuesday that anyone who criticizes child sex change surgeries is responsible, listen to this, racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia, all of which are connected. I didn't explain how they're all connected, but they are all connected. He's the president, after all. Mr. Biden insisted we have to protect transgender children by giving them the care they need. That means sex changes in his world, so they know that they are loved. And he said, quote, folks, racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia, they are all connected.
Doc, this is coming out of the mouth of a man who acts very creepy around little girls. Mm-hmm. Not just once or twice. He's got a lifetime history of acting creepy around little girls. That's a fact. And his supporters know it. They know. They would never allow their daughter or their granddaughter to be in a room with Joe Biden. Would you?
Absolutely not.
So he has a history of saying and doing creepy things in the presence of little girls. The most recent one was when in Nantucket, Creepy Joe looking in the window, peering in the window at the little girls. It's weird, a weird old man. We know from the diary of his daughter that he made his daughter take showers with him.
According to the diary.
According to the diary. And apparently it is the real diary because the FBI got involved in the case and arrested the people who publicized the diary.
That's right.
So, like Hunter Biden's laptop, you go after the people who expose it rather than going after the crimes that are committed in the documents or the device. But in the diary, nobody has disputed that it was the real diary of his daughter. And she said she had to take showers with her father. So, when that old pervert made that statement, do we have it on video?
We do.
Yeah, let's watch it. This is what the presidential pervert said about connecting anti-Semitism. What did all the things that he connected? Transgenderism, homophobia, racism. It's all connected according to the presidential pervert.
Excuse me, because they support LGBTQ children and families, we have to speak out. We must stop the hate and violence, like we just saw in Colorado Springs, where a place of acceptance and celebration was targeted for violence and terror. We need to challenge the hundreds of callous, cynical laws introduced in the states targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors who give children the care they need. We have to protect these children so they know they are loved, and that we will stand up for them and say they can seek for themselves. Folks, racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia, they're all connected. But the antidote to hate is love. This law and the love it defends strike a blow against hate in all its forms. And that's why this law matters to every single American, no matter who you are or who you love. This shouldn't be about conservative or liberal, red or blue. No, this is about realizing the promise of the Declaration of Independence, a promise rooted in the sacred and secular beliefs, a promise that we're all created equal.
Sad truth is, a sexual perversion cult is in control of the United States of America.
Right. They worship sex.
It is a cult.
Yes.
And it is demonic. And it is in control of the United States of America. Next one we're going to show you is a Democratic Congresswoman, Katie Porter, and she said anybody that uses the term groomer or pedophile is using discriminatory language.
Yes.
If you say pedophile,
yes, or groomer, yes.
You're a bigot. That's where the Democratic Party's at right now. A bunch of sex perverts. Listen to what she said. This is in a House committee hearing.
This allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity, their sexual orientation, their gender identity.
So she doesn't like those words, but if the actions match what the person is doing, then the words fit, okay? So if the sexual perverts that are looking to try to entice children, so like drag queens at Drag Queen Story Hour, what purpose does a man wearing a dress have at a library reading books to kids, except to entice kids to be like them or to...
Because she wants that to happen. She wants it to happen. These people are providing a legal political cover for pedophiles. They're creating an environment that pedophilia will be a protected activity.
Right. So if we say to someone that is self-confessed that they like thinking about kids in a sexual way or actually performing sexual acts with children, that we can't call them pedophiles?
Not according to the Democrats and according to Joe Biden, the presidential pervert. You would be a racist, anti-Semitic. Look at all the things you would be.
I mean, yes. I mean, and to equate it with anti-Semitism, equate it with racism.
Why are we allowing a sex perversion cult to run the country?
Because we won't stand up to it as a culture. Right. We embraced the quality of tolerance, which isn't a Christian value at all. In fact, Christianity should be intolerant. It should be intolerant of sin, yes, not accepting of sin. That's right. We bring it into the pulpit, Rick.
That's right. That's where we're at right now. Elon Musk had a bad day yesterday. Somebody was stalking his son, and it got pretty wild. This is a Daily Mail article. Guy, his son is his name is X. They call him Little X. That's literally his name, X. And Little X was in a car, and there was a stalker that was following the car. Then it blocked the path of the car, and then the driver stood on the hood.
Yes.
While this little boy's in the car. That's what the left does to people they disagree with.
Right.
They're violent. They're unhinged. They're dangerous, and nobody investigates them. Nobody arrests them.
Right.
They can carry out acts of intimidation because they have a license to do it and a get-out-of-jail-free card. So what happened here today?
Well, Elon Musk posted a video of a crazy, what he called a crazy man, believed to have stalked the car his child was traveling in before blocking the vehicle's path and climbing on top of its hood. The Twitter CEO said his 2-year-old son, known as X, I'm not even going to try to do the other name, was followed by a balaclava-clad stalker in L.A. on Tuesday night. He's trying to hunt down the man. In the short video, the suspect was seen wearing a hood and driving a white Hyundai before picking up his phone to record the encounter itself. The Sun reported this as well. Elon Musk's son X, followed by stalker who climbed on the hood. Elon Musk has issued a chilling warning against doxing on Twitter after he claimed his son was followed by a crazy stalker. The furious Twitter CEO said he is taking legal action against young IT student Jack Sweeney, who launched a now deactivated Twitter account that tracked Musk's private jet and revealed his flight details.
Isn't that doxing?
That's what doxing is. And the video will show too, you could also say is doxing. He said any doxing, real-time location info of anyone will be suspended as it is a physical safety violation, Mr. Musk wrote on Twitter. And this includes posting links to sites with real-time location info. He's talking specifically about the jet tracking. This was the tweet that Mr. Musk posted. Now,
asking questions.
Yeah, did
anyone recognize this person or car?
Now, he went even further by posting the video. So let's watch this.
No.
Yeah,
What's
for
your
sure.
name?
Got you.
What's your name?
Now, technically, that's doxing too.
Showing the license plate?
Yes, technically. I mean, if we are to, follow Twitter's rules about doxing, that was doxing of an individual. We don't know if that person's guilty or not, do we? We don't know who that person was. We're taking the word of the Musk driver who did the video that that's what happened.
But I'm certain it's correct.
It probably is. And I think anyone that had some sort of encounter like that would probably react the same way. I'm going to get video of their license plate. I'm going to,
Of course.
Not anybody would do that. And so, the story here is Elon Musk, CEO of Twitter, now becoming the target himself of these various attacks. I think we're going to see it increase in his own life. Any thoughts on where this story goes from here, Rick?
It's just typical behavior from the left. They're furious. They lost control of Twitter. Twitter had two purposes under Jack Dorsey, under the previous ownership. It had two purposes. Number one, it was a massive propaganda tool. And I'm talking about the tens of millions of bots that had accounts on Twitter. Fake people publishing fake tweets to make the public think that the majority of people believed a particular thing. It was a propaganda tool.
So you had fake people posting fake posts to get
real people
to believe a fake thing.
Yes, yes. That was the first purpose. The second purpose was to deny the right of free speech to conservatives. So over the last several years, they had almost succeeded in eliminating free speech for conservatives in this country. Generally, the left. They had deplatformed so many people that, in the past year, deplatforming became, it wasn't even shocking anymore.
Right.
It was like, if you haven't been deplatformed, you're nobody. And so they had almost eliminated free speech in this country until Elon Musk purchased Twitter. They've lost control of that platform. They've lost control of their propaganda platform, and they've lost control of dominating the discussion of issues in the town square of America. They're in trouble. and the left is panicking. And that's why you see these Antifa type of thugs stalking his little boy, because they're furious. And they will kill. They'll do anything to maintain power.
I agree with you.
We're dealing with a communist revolution, the China Communist Party. Let's go down to number 22. This New York Times, the U.S. plans to more than double the number of Ukrainian troops it trains in Germany.
So they're going full speed ahead here, Rick, in training Ukrainian troops. The Pentagon is expanding the training that the U.S. military provides to Ukrainian troops, with plans to more than double the number of forces it instructs at a base in Germany. And that's according to two U.S. officials. The expanded training, which officials said President Biden had approved this week, would enable American instructors to train a Ukrainian battalion, about 600 to 800 troops each month, beginning early next year, the officials said. Now, this is a major increase in the overall number of Ukrainians the U.S. trains outside the country, now averaging about 300 a month, in addition to a revamping of the training they will receive. Since the war started in February, the United States has trained nearly 3,100 Ukrainian soldiers, mostly in small groups, on specific weapons like artillery systems. That's according to Defense Department statistics. Any comments or thoughts about this so far, Rick? Or?
Well, it's just another indication that the Biden administration is doubling down on its idiotic policy of engaging in war with Russia. They're not seeking a diplomatic solution. It's just the opposite. The Biden administration is pushing deeper into Ukraine to get the United States of America involved in a direct confrontation with Russia. And this article tells us, says the Pentagon has trained 610 Ukrainian soldiers in the use of high mobility artillery rocket systems. That's the HIMARS. An advanced rocket launcher. Well, the HIMARS are being used to kill Russian soldiers.
Right. And Ukrainian troops have used the launchers to devastating effect, hitting targets far behind the lines, including ammunition depots, command posts, and bridges. Now, under this new expanded program, American trainers will instruct larger groups of Ukrainian soldiers in more advanced battlefield tactics, including collective training, like coordinating group infantry troop maneuvers with artillery support. The new training regimen is set to take place at a U.S. Army base in Grunford, Germany, where the Pentagon conducts its own combined arms training. The base is also home to the Joint Multinational Training Group in Ukraine. But you know, Rick, we're seeing really a repeat in history, because what we did in Vietnam is we would train troops over in Cambodia and other places, and then those places became the targets of the Chinese and the Vietnamese. Mm-hmm. And so, so there is precedent for this happening, you know, in the past.
Yes.
At one point,
same people, Doc. The same. When I say same people, the same mindset, the same ruling class of America is making the same policy decisions that got us into Vietnam, that got us into a bunch of other messes where thousands of innocent soldiers died, American soldiers, to carry out their ridiculous foreign policy.
So at what point is Russia going to say, you know, we're tired of you training Ukrainian soldiers in Germany?
I think it's really close. Yesterday, the Russians loaded an ICBM rocket into a silo outside of Moscow and openly said, this is a message to the West. And they video recorded it and released the video of the ICBM being loaded into the silo. And as I said yesterday, Doc, if you were deliberately helping a neighbor who is beating up your neighbor's sons, the other neighbor's sons. Okay, and you're helping one neighbor, and he's beating up another neighbor's sons, and you're helping that neighbor, and you're teaching that neighbor how to fight, and you're giving him, you know, brass knuckles, and you're giving him all kinds of stuff so that he can go over and beat up your other neighbor's boys.
At some point, you're going to get involved in the fight.
And then you get a text message, and the message has a video of your neighbor, the one whose sons are getting beat up, and the only thing in the video is he's putting a loaded clip inside a Glock. No words. No words. Just, look at what I'm doing. I'm putting a loaded clip inside a Glock. If you got that email, that text message, would you continue to train your other neighbor how to beat up the other neighbor's sons?
Only if I was an idiot.
Only if you're an idiot. Only if you're an idiot. So we have idiots running this country.
Right.
And we all face extinction, obliteration, because we have sex perverts making foreign policy.
And we export that perversion to other countries.
We have sex perverts. We have a sex cabal making foreign policy to go to war with a nuclear-armed nation that is moving towards restoring its Christian heritage. You feel good about being here in this country?
No. Feel like we're a target.
We are a target. And we deserve to be a target. We deserve exactly what we're going to get as a nation.
Yes, because we have abandoned the principles that really made America great in the first place. Now, some of the weapon systems that are likely to be trained on, these Ukrainian troops in Germany, are going to be Patriot missiles. And Russia's already warned of unpredictable consequences if the U.S. ends up sending Patriot missiles to Ukraine.
This is a warning today, Doc, from the Russian embassy in the U.S.
So Russia hit back at reports that the U.S. is poised to send the Patriot air defense system to Ukraine, calling it a provocative move that can lead to unpredictable consequences. Now, the U.S. has not yet announced the decision to send the advanced systems, which could help Ukraine fend off a barrage of Russian missile strikes, but multiple reports indicated such an announcement could come this week, Rick. Now, if this is confirmed, we will witness yet another provocative step by the administration, which can lead to unpredictable consequences. That's a statement by the Russian embassy in Washington. Continued deliveries of arms will only strengthen the Zelensky regime's sense of impunity and push it to new crimes against civilians in Donbas, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia regions.
And Doc, yesterday, Mr. Medvedev said when the U.S. Patriot missiles arrive in Ukraine, they immediately become targets of the Russian armed forces. And he didn't say, you know, after they're removed from whatever delivery mechanism the U.S. uses. I don't know how the United States, how the Pentagon plans to get Patriot missiles and launchers into Ukraine without transporting them there.
Right. And well, how are HIMARS and all these other pieces of equipment getting in there?
I have assumed that they're going to Poland, and I might be wrong. I've just assumed that we were putting them in Poland, and the Ukrainian military was meeting the Polish military at the borders and exchanging weapons. You know, the Polish pushing, hey, here it is. We can't come in. You take it across the border. I don't know how they're going to get Patriot missiles and launchers into Ukraine. But I know what Medvedev said yesterday. They immediately become targets of the Russian military.
Because that step, the only purpose of the Patriot missiles, you know, because each missile costs like $3 million to fire off, okay? The only purpose of that is not to shoot down $30,000 drones. The only purpose of shooting a $3 million missile is you've got a target way out there that you want to hit. And they've already, at this point, had, attacks, within striking distance of Moscow. Now we've just delivered a Patriot missile system, which can definitely reach Crimea.
Yes.
There's no question about that.
That's a good point, because one of the issues the Russians have argued for years through Vladimir Putin about the Patriots is that the Russians have said, you Americans say the Patriots are defensive. They're to shoot down our missiles.
Right.
But you can easily convert them to be offensive missile launchers. And if you put them in Ukraine, you're only 300 miles from Moscow. And you could put a warhead in that missile that could strike Moscow with a tactical nuke. That's why the Russians have said there will be no missile launchers in Ukraine.
And that's what the war started about back in February.
Right.
Russia said, we do not want NATO missiles in Ukraine.
Why does Israel bomb Syria like once a week? Why? And what is the official policy of the United States of America about Israel bombing Syria? Israel's position is Iran is putting missiles in Syria.
That's their argument there.
And those missiles threaten Israel. And we will defend our country, and we will be preemptive, and we will take out those Iranian missiles in Syria. We will not allow Iranian missiles to hit Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and we will blow them up. And the United States government has said every single time that Israel bombs Syria, Israel has a right to defend itself. Then using that logic, Russia has the right to defend itself. Because what they're saying is the United States of America is putting missiles in Ukraine, and we're going to blow them up because those missiles threaten our country.
Right. Using that very same logic.
If you use the U.S.-Israeli logic, then we have to say Russia has the right to blow up the American and NATO missiles because they have the right to defend their territory. If it's good enough for Israel, it's good enough for Russia. Why don't we apply all the standards that Israel uses, and why don't we apply it to everybody? Wouldn't that make the world fair?
It would make it fair, but it's not something we'll go with.
Not going to happen, is it?
Because we have a Zionist foreign policy. So,
well, I know this now. We're getting, every single day, we're getting closer and closer to that confrontation, open confrontation between Russia and the United States. Right. It is coming. It's coming. And I don't see any indication that Biden is going to back down. In fact, they're doubling down. The more Russia threatens to use its nukes, the more Biden is pushing Russia to use the nukes. So we're led by an old pervert who is the leader of a pervert party. They're our leaders.
yes, we elected them, if you believe it was a fair election.
One other story out of Russia. Well, I got two more. This is an unusual one. Rumor floating around today that Sergei Lavrov is going to resign, the foreign minister. And the Kremlin did not deny it.
Right, which was really weird. And I was asking you about this today. What's in the water here, Rick?
I don't know. I mean, Mr. Lavrov is, he's been foreign minister. I can't even think. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember who was foreign minister before him. He's been foreign minister for so many years,
right.
Seems like forever. He is in his 70s. I mean, he's in his retirement years. He could say, I've been foreign minister for a couple decades. I'm tired. I'm in my 70s. I want to retire. The war has been stressful. It's time for a younger man to have this job. I mean, that all makes sense.
Right.
But he hasn't said anything. But Mr. Peskov, the the President Putin's spokesman, his press secretary, he just said, well, there are rumors. Basically, what he's saying is that there are rumors, but Mr. Peskov himself is one of the names being rumored as a replacement for Lavrov.
Right, and to put it on our level here in the U.S., imagine if there were stories out there about Anthony Blinken resigning. Well, the State Department would either say, well, they would probably come right out and say,
no truth to it
there's
all.
no truth, there's just rumors and everything. But it was really odd that this story that the Russians didn't flat out deny that it is going on.
There also, Doc, could be legitimate division inside the Kremlin between Lavrov and Putin and others.
And has there been any signals to that effect in the past that we could look to?
There've been a couple times where Mr. Lavrov has made comments about Zionist influence in the war, and Mr. Putin, like within a day or two, disowned it.
Right.
And Mr. Lavrov didn't say anything publicly about it, but there may be some friction that's building.
And how about the G20 summit here recently, too?
Well, yeah, the rumor was that he was sick.
Right. And then there were other rumors he'd been poisoned.
Yes.
Remember that,
right.
too? So,
and it's possible he is sick. It's possible they did poison him, and his health is declining. I mean, with Putin, we've heard all year, he's dying, he's dying, he's dying. Well, he hasn't died yet. But if you go back to the early part of this year, you had Lindsey Graham and Sean Hannity and others publicly saying the CIA should kill Putin.
Right. Well, maybe they have a new target now.
Well,
Mr. Lavrov.
They may have poisoned him at G20.
Right. If there is a change in that position, I mean, really, Mr. Lavrov has kind of been the hand on the handbrake, if you will. I mean, he's a diplomat par excellence. I mean, really, he really is. As far as government, level is concerned, he has the same rank in government as Mr. Putin does. They're at the same rank because he's earned that because he's been so long in that position. If Mr. Lavrov were to, resign or whatever, you mentioned Mr. Peskov. I don't know of that many other names. We haven't really considered what would happen if.
Well, the strongest name would be Medvedev.
Well, that would be interesting. That would be someone who'd take his hand off the handbrake.
Yes, Medvedev would be the strongest person that could take that job. There's another possibility, and that is that Vladimir Putin is ailing. His health is declining, and a decision has been made inside the Kremlin of who is going to replace Vladimir Putin. And maybe Lavrov was not chosen, and he just simply gave up and said, well, there's no use in me staying here. At my age, I'm never going to be the president of Russia. I might as well just retire, go down to Sochi and enjoy life. That could be possible too, that the deep state of Russia has chosen Putin's successor, and it's not Lavrov. It may be Medvedev. It may be, somebody we don't even know.
That's true. So,
but it could. Lavrov may be just, well, okay, my time has come and gone. It's over. I'm not going to become president of Russia.
That's an interesting
it's
thought.
time to retire.
That's an interesting thought. So, well, another story coming out of Russia today. This is from RT. Mr. Putin is saying that Russia is planning to reroute more gas to Asia. Export volumes may reach nearly 90 billion cubic meters by 2030. Eastbound supplies of Russian natural gas will continue to grow and could hit almost 90 billion cubic meters by the end of the decade. That was by President Vladimir Putin. He said that earlier today at a meeting of the Strategic Development and National Projects Council. Now, he said that the development of port and pipeline infrastructure to the south and east would be an important step to mitigate the impact of Western sanctions and other hostile actions against Russia. This would actually amount to more than, look at that number, Rick, 60% of gas supplies to the West in 2021, he noted. So once again, we're seeing that shift now in the global alliances. We're seeing that shift toward the east and toward the south.
Also, the Russians today said, I saw the headline, I didn't go into the details. It just said Kremlin not sure that Russia will rebuild the pipelines. They may just let Europe go without gas.
Right.
This story saying that, hey, 60% of the gas that we were selling to the West, we can sell it to the Asians.
Right. Who want?
Why do we need to rebuild the pipeline?
Right.
Just let Europe shiver. Let them pay outrageous prices shipping gas from the United States to Europe. That might be the attitude, is that we're done with it. We spent billions of dollars building the pipelines. The Anglo-Saxons blew it up. We're done with them. We're switching, pivoting to the east. There's a new day, a new age. Let the West
Bury the West.
Bury itself. That could be happening. New York Post reporting House GOP report claims COVID may be linked to a Chinese bioweapons program. Wow, I'm glad they're catching up on this story. Only, 2 years late?
Almost 3 years now, Rick. A House investigation to the origins of COVID-19 has concluded that the virus may have been part of a Chinese biological weapons research program when it was accidentally released from a laboratory in Wuhan. Now, it goes on in this interim report, which was released yesterday by House GOP on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, conflicts with last year's finding by the intelligence community, which judged the virus was not developed as a biological weapon by the Chinese government. So right there, we have these, obviously there's factions within the intelligence community here that have withheld information from Congress regarding what happened in China, specifically
because
in Wuhan.
the U.S. Intelligence Committee had its hands in the development of COVID.
Right.
And Fauci is in the middle of it.
And the report went on to say, now based on our investigation invoking a variety of public and non-public information, we conclude that there are indications that SARS-CoV-2 may have been tied to China's biological weapons research program and spilled over to the human population during a lab-related incident at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The committee has not seen any indications that the Chinese military intentionally released SARS-CoV-2, it also notes. Now, the GOP report also ripped the intelligence community, alleging that it has withheld information from Congress and downplayed the possibility of COVID-19 being linked to a Chinese bioweapons program. It says our own intelligence community has withheld relevant information from its oversight committee, the American public, and the world. The intelligence community should provide the committee with all the requested documents as well as declassify the information referenced in the committee's classified report, which can do without revealing sources and methods.
Why doesn't Republicans get some backbone and hold hearings on the Intelligence Committee?
Because they don't grow backbones in labs, Rick, and so you have to keep yours. And a lot of these House GOP leaders, or House Republicans, haven't had a backbone in years. And
It's been a long time since a Senator Church.
Yes. And there aren't really a lot of House Republicans willing to put their political careers on the line and really challenge this, because when you really start digging down into this story, as we've looked at over the past couple of years, you have to ask some really hard questions, that this wasn't an accident. Either the Chinese deliberately released it or the U.S. was involved in the release of it at some point. They don't want to go that far with it.
Or the U.S. was involved in the Chinese development of the virus.
And it's going to be interesting to see if they go down that pathway. Now, they've already said they're going to call Dr. Fauci to testify and everything. And of course, that's going to be good for ratings and everything. But will they come to any conclusions, or would it look like they're just picking on, oh, poor dear Dr. Fauci and everything?
I'll tell you how far this investigation is going to go. As far as the Benghazi investigation.
Yep.
Oh, Benghazi. Oh, the Republicans.
Oh.
What was that little congressman, he's now on Fox, I forget his name.
Gray hair, short,
Yeah, I wanted to
long
forget,
face.
Yeah, I wanted to forget his name, you know. I remember people writing to me, Rick, you got it all wrong. He's going to expose Hillary Clinton and the CIA. And no, he's not. He's not going to expose anything. It's all a circus.
Right.
It's a circus show. And he's going to entertain you for 1 to 2 years, and then he's going to just close the committee hearings.
Right.
And there won't be anything done.
Then go sign his book deal and his 3-year, stint on Fox, and
Same thing's going to happen on this COVID investigation involving China. They're going to use it for headlines and fundraising, but when the CIA tells them, back off,
they'll back off.
they're going to back off. Because what did Chuck Schumer say? You make the spy agencies mad, they get 6 ways to Sunday to get even with you. Remember Chuck saying that?
Yes.
That was the warning he gave Donald Trump. You mess with the CIA, they got 6 ways to Sunday to get even. And they proved it, didn't they?
Yes, they have.
They proved it. They took him down. They destabilized his presidency. They rigged the elections. 6 ways to Sunday. They probably only had to use 2 ways, but they brought him down. Hey, one more topic before we wrap it up. We've talked about fake meat here for many years, not veggie burgers, not vegetable protein sandwiches. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about fake meat grown in a laboratory. That's what's coming to your grocery store, because it has been approved by the U.S. government. And for all we know, we're already eating it.
Right. Yeah. You may already be eating. They're going to get rid of cows. They're getting rid of cows.
Yes.
But you're still going to want to have a hamburger. And so they've figured out a way to do that.
But they're going to do this so gradually, you won't even notice the disappearance of cattle.
Right.
It's going to happen over the next 8 years.
Yep. You'll go see
By
cows in the zoo.
2030, yes. All right. So, well, they're going to get rid of zoos at some point.
Yes, that's true.
All that. They're going to get rid of animals. They're eliminating God's creation. We're going to synthetic biology. Their plan is for the entire world to be synthetic man-made. Anyhow, Believer Meats. Isn't that an interesting name?
Yes. I caught
Believer. You got to believe.
that. Just believe that it's meat.
Believer Meats breaks ground on the largest cultivated meat production center in the world. And where is it located? The wonderful state of North Carolina. The largest fake meat laboratory in the world. And people in North Carolina are going to line up to get jobs at Believer to make fake steaks.
So believe that the fake meat is real. So they have an actual website here. This is the
You know there's something wrong, Doc, when your advertising says you have to believe this is real.
believe that it's meat. You won't believe it's meat. Bite into the world's best meat, not just regular meat, Rick, but the best meat. It's real, it's juicy, it's crazy delicious, and it's grown in a lab, not on an animal. So that's their tagline for this, that you're going to like this meat because it's grown in a lab, and we didn't have to kill an animal to do it.
Let's put that back on. They actually said it in the tagline, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Or they're in the small print.
It's grown in a lab, not on an animal. You're going to have cultivated meat, fake meat, grown in a lab. They're going to get rid of cows. You can bet it. They're going to get rid of cows. They're going to get rid of pigs. They're going to get rid of all these filthy
And
animals.
the animal rights people and the lefties and the snowflakes are going to say this is wonderful.
Yeah, we saved the animals by killing them. Think about it.
By eliminating them.
That's right.
By making them extinct.
We saved them by getting rid of them. That's the crazy logic there. That's the demonic logic that's there.
Well, guess where Believer Meats is located, where its main headquarters is?
Well, I know it's in North Carolina, but
No, its main headquarters is Israel.
it's an Israeli company?
Yes.
No kidding.
Yes, it's an Israeli company. Now, last night, I didn't even expect to find what I found, but when I saw this story about Believer Meats, the first thing that popped in my head was the 1970s movie with Charlton Heston and Soylent Green.
Soylent Green.
All right, and I thought, man, that was a weird movie. I saw that as a young guy, and that was weird. All right. And so I just went online, YouTube, and I thought, hey, I'll try to find an old trailer of Soylent Green.
Right.
What I forgot was the movie had a date. Now, do you know what, if you don't know about
it
Soylent
does.
Green, the world had been switched over to eating human flesh.
They didn't know it, though.
They didn't know it. The people didn't know that they were eating human flesh. And that all the dead people, their bodies were being taken to these factories and their corpses were being turned into food.
Soylent Green.
Soylent Green.
Green, red, and all the other different flavors.
So when I saw the movie back in the early 70s, I forgot about the date that's in the movie. Because it was a sci-fi movie in the future.
Yes.
Let's watch the trailer and see if you notice the date.
What is the secret of Soylent Green? New York City, in the year 2022. Nothing runs anymore. Nothing works. But the people are the same. And the people will do anything to get what they need.
This is the police.
What they need most is Soylent Green.
The supply of Soylent Green has been exhausted. Return to your home.
What is the secret of Soylent Green? Detective Sergeant Thorne. He has a 2-year backlog of unsolved murders. Now he's on a case that must be solved. Saul Roth, Thorne's private library.
Hey, Saul.
A living book in a world without books.
Have some pencils, courtesy of your next assignment. William R. Simonson.
Simonson. He was the first to learn the secret of Soylent Green.
They told me to say that they were sorry, but that you had become unreliable.
Saul Roth was the next to know.
How do we come to this?
And he chose to die rather than reveal the secret of Soylent Green. What is the secret of Soylent Green?
Why did you set up Simonson?
I didn't. Cheryl.
Let's see your hands.
Officially, she's furniture. She comes with the apartment. She belongs to the tenant.
How many times you been in trouble with the police, Cheryl?
Never.
Can't hear you.
Never.
Captain Hatcher. First, he wanted this case solved.
Simonson. What do you say?
It was an assassination.
Now, he just wants it
Who
closed.
bought you? High and hot, and they want this case closed permanently. Their way. Now, you sign this.
You sign it!
Thorne refuses to close the Simonson case.
Just do what you have to do. Where did you go with Simonson?
He took me to church.
Church.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been 6 months since my last confession.
Charlton Heston, Edward G. Robinson, Chuck Connors, Lee Taylor Young, Brock Peters, Paula Kelly, and Joseph Cotton fight for survival and try to solve the most bizarre riddle ever to face mankind. The search for the secret of Soylent Green. You will find out why Soylent Green means life. You will find out why Soylent Green means death.
We gotta stop them!
What is the secret of Soylent Green?
Please!
And the year was 2022. It was New York City, and nothing works anymore. And the people would do anything for the food.
Right.
We're really close, Doc. New York City, not much works there anymore. They've destroyed the city. They've pretty much destroyed New York City. And now they're introducing fake meat. And in a few more years, real food will disappear. If these freaks have their way. Because their plan is to eliminate everything God made, including humans. So that when Jesus Christ comes back, there are no humans. That's Satan's plan. Satan's plan is when Jesus Christ returns, there's nothing left on the earth that he made. That's what Satan's hoping to do. Obviously, God's not going to allow that to happen, but that is what Satan's plan is.
We're rushing headlong into that, aren't we?
Yeah. All I know is this: Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He is God in human flesh, and he will return one day. I wrote a book about it, Final Day. This is the second edition, and if you've never read Final Day, I encourage you to get a copy of it. And it lays out in very easy to understand details the 10 characteristics of the second coming of Jesus Christ. I encourage you to go to TruNews and order the book, and we'll get it out to you. We've got a lot of them in stock. The main thing is that each of you be ready for that day, the final day, when Christ appears in the eastern sky, and he puts an end to all this madness that men are doing on this planet on behalf of their master, Lucifer. That day is coming. I don't know how long, but I know that day is coming, and our Lord will return, and there will be the kingdom of God for eternity. There will be a new earth, a new heaven, and a new Jerusalem, and we will not remember any of this stuff that troubles us today.
No tears.
He'll wipe away the tears, and there'll be just everlasting joy for the people who love him and obey him and desire him. Thank you for being with us today. We appreciate your help and your support. Please tell people to watch TruNews. God willing, Doc and I will be back here tomorrow.
God bless you.